Yeah. Ready.
I just wanted to check. I didn't want to start recording if you weren't ready.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I appreciate that.
Cheers.
One more day.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Oh,
Straight to the microphone for everybody playing at home. But they can listen to this on their Sunday midday.
ASMR.
Right. And it makes everyone feel like they're here with us, you know?
Which is the whole point.
Is it the whole point?
Kind of.
No?
It's up there in like the top 3 points.
Top 3 points.
Top 3
It's one of the points.
I think making them feel like they're here with us is one of them.
You can't make them feel the humidity though.
Or the bites from the mosquitoes.
Oh my God, there's so many mosquitoes. They don't bite me. They don't bite as much, but they're just annoying. They're just flying around all the time. You're always like, I don't remember it being like this last year
No, me
or
either.
2 years ago.
No, but we're close to the beach, which you think there'd be more.
Well, here there's that swampy area a little
Yeah,
bit.
so now that I've
I
said
think at
that,
the
ocean
5-star
is salt water.
I was going to say, I don't think the ocean would be, you get different kinds of insects, but I think it would be more like just sitting water.
Can everybody forget what I just said?
The
Yeah,
5-star,
I guess.
the 5-star hotel as well. You know, just it's too fancy for
What
them.
chain? Was that a Hyatt?
Hyatt.
Okay, and this
Yeah.
is a Hilton.
Yes.
I've had a
Shout out
long-standing
to
battle.
Paris one time. Gang.
A long-standing battle with mosquitoes in my house.
In your house.
At my house, because my yard gets a lot of mosquitoes.
But didn't you install the French drains?
Yeah, which does work, but there's still, a wooded area with that gets watery, when it rains. So we just have a lot of mosquitoes. But I've set up a bat house.
A bat house?
Yeah, a bat house.
So the bats are meant to eat.
Outhouse.
I put a bat house on my roof, just screwed it right in there onto the side of one of our things. About 10 feet up is ideal.
Okay.
What do you
Sorry, I was just, so you know how you were talking about scratching your nuts? Look how much leg view they've got here of me.
A view, yeah.
That feels like too much.
It's the angle that really goes in
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah,
as
I'm
well.
going to just sit like this, I think. Sorry, everybody.
You're gonna have to hold. You have to remember that for the next one.
When we come a little bit closer to us, Chad, don't be scared.
Well, I wanted to make sure that, yeah, I guess I can a little bit. Sorry, I interrupted about the bats.
No, it's okay. I just have.
What's a bat house?
It's just a tiny little
The
house,
bats live.
really thin. And yeah, it is like basically to simulate the environment that a bat would like to make its nest.
So it's
bats are
like
gonna
a
eat the
scarecrow
Yeah.
for mosquitoes.
No.
No.
You want bats
You want
to
the
nest
bats
there.
to go live in the house so that they come out at night and eat a shit ton of mosquitoes, which they eat a lot of mosquitoes.
Really?
Yeah.
Nature is fucking sick, bro.
And then I set up these.
Like if the bees were extinct, all life would be extinct. Like
yeah, and the bees are having some troubles.
at
Right
some point, right?
Save the bees.
Right? Because they like
We're eliminated in the 75.
now.
no, because they like pollinate the flower, no?
Yeah,
Or
it's-
something.
they
Sorry, I was
pollinate-
making a vitality.
It's Bill Nye the Science Guy. He's back.
Yeah, he's back.
It's the same for like with my garden. Now Jano's always like, "There's so many bees are out there," and I'm like, "Yeah, but those are good bees.
We love
Those
the
are gonna
bees.
pollinate the garden, and then
Now,
we're
if
gonna get
it's
some tomatoes."
Wasps or hornets, we'll have a
Yeah,
conversation. But
we'll take
bees,
those
we
bad
love
boys
the
out.
bees. Now, look, I have like a crossover situation right now.
Sure.
So I listen to a podcast called Hamish and Andy. Now, you guys wouldn't know anything about Hamish and Andy.
You brought them up before.
Yeah. Now, they did like this blind fact shootout thing the other day on one of their episodes. And there was a mosquito fact in there. And one of the guys brought to the table that the noise that mosquitoes make is because of the wings. I think we all knew that.
Yep.
But it was something to do with how fast the wings flap. It's like 800 per second or something, which could be wrong,
Okay.
is why the noise is made. But the reason I bring this up, and I might start a war right now. I have to be careful. Hamish and Andy used to be like radio presenters, and now they do podcasts and they're entertainers and stuff.
Sure.
Back in the, I was talking to OJ. Now, look, if this airs OJ and this was a private story and I wasn't meant to tell this to the world, I apologize. And if it does start a war between OJ and Hamish and Andy, I'll be glad. I'll get in between the two of them.
It's nothing. You do like stirring the pot.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting back
so
to
look, OJ was saying that he had a bit of a run-in with Hamish and Andy, not personally, like in person,
Yep.
but over the radio sphere, because apparently OJ said that they thought that he stole one of their segments. I don't remember what segment it was.
Okay.
So
That's a
The news
pretty
segment?
serious allegation.
I don't know what
The channel switching, maybe?
No, none of that. I don't know what the segment was. OJ did tell me, because I
Didn't stick in your
no. So look, I hope that Hamish and Andy and OJ can make peace.
mend fences.
Because look, ideas, there's plenty of them out there.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that people are taking from one another. You know, lots of people have had great ideas. I'm sure multiple people thought about making the wheel.
Sure.
I don't know who made it.
And then just thought about it as an idea and just didn't have the ability to create it.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, we all have ideas. It's about the execution.
Yep.
Shout out to OJ one time. And my friend, the cat. Do you guys have cats in your rooms?
I don't know.
I don't even know what my picture is. I'll be honest with you.
Oh.
I do have one.
Talking about blind facts.
And cats.
Did you
in
know
the bat house.
Did you know that back in the Wild West, you know, you could pay for a drink with a bullet, you know, like if you didn't have money. And that's where the term a shot of whiskey came from.
Shot glass.
Oh.
Right?
Okay. So one bullet would get you a shot.
A standard ounce, I believe it was.
Yeah.
What's that in normal people measurements?
I have no idea.
Okay.
What are normal people measurements?
Yeah.
Liters? Milliliters? Yeah, it is milliliters.
It'd be milliliters in that one, or even centiliters.
Sure.
Yeah.
Also, I can't because it's on Instagram. There was a reel, right, and it has all these things like, did you know? But like, it's just a troll. It's like 90% of them are bullshit. It's
Is
like
that bullshit?
I think this might be the only one that's like correct.
That's true.
But for example, okay, right? You know, whatever. In the 1800s, there's a lot of Greek people who worked at shipyards, right? And they were like saying "ola kala" means like everything fine, and then it got shortened to "okay."
Okay.
So, and that's how you got it, right? But instead, it comes either from all correct, right? Like, but then it was something like that, you know. So like bad Englando, and then it just became an abbreviation. And people would say, like, some military people would come in and say, no, it stands for zero K, like 0 kills, like everyone's fine, all alive, like something like that. I don't know.
That's a grim term.
This might be the first time that we got into like the linguistic history of.
But it's really interesting because for some of that stuff, it's like there are some weird terms that, you know, for us, you just, you know, it's everyday life, it's just accept it, and then it's like, how did it originate? And it has like some story behind it.
It's always a fun game too, because some of the originations are horrifying things. Some of the originations of some of the nice classic sayings are a little bit, you know, have a rough beginning.
Would you like to start, Jason?
I would not like to start, not even a little bit.
All right, I'm glad. Look, can you guys talk? I'm just a little bit worried about the mic situation after the whole Edward thing.
Okay, yeah, I'm talking. Is the bar blinking? Is it
Dude,
moving?
I hate your fucking pop filter.
He has to always be special, no?
Actually, at this point, I just don't even know where that one is. There's more than anything.
Yeah, yours is like, you see, I'm going into the red, and you're just.
Would you guys like me to change my pop filter
it's
for the
fine.
future?
If
You're
you
just gonna keep turning me up. You want me to keep talking a little bit?
If you could change your pop filter in the future, but you don't have to.
Okay.
You don't have to.
You know what? It's taken us this far. It's been a good run. I can Amazon.
But don't get a new one. Just find the old one.
That's
Put some effort in, Jason.
that's a battle in my house right now.
That's sad.
Yeah.
What's the biggest problem in your house right now? He's really thinking about it.
Yeah. Life is so good right now.
No, he's got that many things to fix.
Well, I mean, I have like remodeling projects, but those aren't problems. I have like one leak that comes in like a connection of brick/cement on the front porch that leaks into the basement occasionally if it gets a lot of water in and on it. You're not pleased about any of this, Chad. I don't like the face you're making.
I think it's just the pop filter prevents him from like going super loud.
I just had the wires crossed. So I was turning Yanko up when I should have been turning you up.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Well,
Okay, now you're.
oh, now we're
up
cruising. Yeah, we got there. It was the cement story. Yeah, house doesn't have a whole lot of problems. I'm adding an egress window to the basement. They just started construction 2 days ago.
Why don't you do it like Harry
I just
and
finished
build everything
I
yourself?
finished the master bathroom. I'm not home enough to endeavor on these projects.
But Harry is. Yeah, he is actually.
He is a little bit more.
Did you
Yeah,
see he went public with his baby news?
I did see that. Congratulations to Harry.
We obviously all knew about it.
No, I can't.
You congratulated him like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but just
Yeah,
doing it
congrats, Harry.
That's why he left Pro League early.
Yeah.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
in
is
case
why he
anybody
left.
was wondering.
I came in late. He left early.
Didn't get cancelled. He just, you know.
We
had
did
to-
think it was funny though at the end where it was like, if you just he was talking to me, he's like, what do I do about like the public announcement about the baby? And I was like, well, this is what I did, but also it might be a little bit different because if you just mysteriously leave the broadcast after 2 weeks after Maniac just left the broadcast, maybe you want to put out that release.
And he didn't.
Yeah, he
Until
didn't.
now.
But it held out. I didn't see any accusation. I didn't see any concern,
No,
any
well,
worries.
I think Harry's like a gentle giant.
Yeah,
so,
he
you
is
know.
a gentle giant.
But then, because we didn't really talk about this a lot of the time, Henry and Josh both came down with some kind of illness as well.
Yeah,
So
they both got sick.
We were down 3 members by the end of the show. It was
Yeah.
like, well,
Of course, a 5-mapper grand final.
exactly. Didn't stop.
You know,
back
as
and
long as
forth.
possible.
Yeah,
But we made it through.
we did.
Just like we made it through this one.
Yeah, we did.
It's been an event
What's the biggest problem in your house, Chad?
that it's only me.
Yeah, why did you
Yeah.
do that? Why did you ask that?
I don't
question?
know.
Why did
You
you
Well,
walked
he
straight
asked
into
you. I
this.
felt like
you knew what his it was going to be a sad dark answer.
No. That the ceiling the ceiling sometimes leaks, but hopefully after this 3rd winter of being there, the landlord has fixed the tiles. He lives above me, the landlord. So every winter I will message him and be like, "Hey, the ceiling's leaking again," and send him a video. And he was like, "Well, I guess I'm ripping up the tiles on the balcony again." And I'm like, "I guess you are," which then means my entire summer is 7 o'clock in the morning, just like a jackhammer.
Yeah,
and
jackhammer
hammering.
and
So look, it's fine. It's a first world problem. I'm okay with it. And my landlord, like whenever I have an issue, he'll fix it straight away, and he seems cool enough. So I don't have any qualms with it. Like it's all good. And he knows I'm an expat, so he can take advantage of the fact that I'm not Maltese and understand all of the laws and rules. That's cool too. But no, shout out to Clifton one time, gang.
Clifton.
But
so
yeah,
that's how you guys have. There's like a guy who owns the whole building and he rents out the apartments, or is he just in charge of that? That's his job.
no, I think this is a unique circumstance. As far as I understand, he owns the whole building. He only rents out a couple of the apartments, one to me and one to Henry. But I know that most of them are owned. And the reason I know that most of them are owned is because one time I was leaving the apartment, and when I went through like the lobby of the apartment, there was a whole group of people who I assumed were property owners with Clifton, like I reckon 15 people all discussing issues with the property or things about. So I'm like, well, I'm not involved in these conversations because I don't own the property, so they don't care about my opinion, which is fine.
And you were traveling.
And yeah. Well, I did walk through with a suitcase, so I was kind of like, goodbye, everybody. I don't know any of you.
Have a great day.
Yeah, have fun. But yeah, I think that's a pretty unique circumstance that the owner actually lives in the building that he owns. So
yeah, maybe. I don't know if that'd be that unique, especially in a place like Malta. Depends on the size of the building
I don't
too.
know,
Like
like,
that,
he
your
would've had
building
it
has like
built.
10 units or something, right?
it's more than that.
20.
I'm 18, and I'm
So-
on the 3rd floor, and there's 5 floors.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe it is unique.
Maybe 25.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, good for him though.
Yeah, well, I don't know if
He's
he's
killing
making any money, but yeah, he's doing his best. What about you, Yanka? What's the biggest problem in your household?
Just my absence, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
You're in that phase.
that's the biggest one right now. Nothing major. It's just like so hard to find trades and crafts people. Like
Oh yeah, that's a worldwide problem.
in Serbia, like so that's always the hassle. Like they get in, they do half of the job, then they're gone for 2 weeks because someone else is screaming at them to finish the other half. Then they come back, finish
Yeah.
the work and all of that stuff. But yeah, nothing too major.
Are the tradesmen where you guys are from the same as the tradesmen where I'm from, where when they're talking on a mobile phone, it's like they're yelling, like not aggressively, but just the volume at which they're talking on the phone is like they're yelling? Or is that just Australia?
Just Australia.
Okay.
I kind of know what you mean because I've been around construction my whole life, and there are like certain construction people that like just very officially give like a little bit more power to their
They're
voice.
always so loud, and I'm
Yeah.
like, we don't.
I know what you mean.
It's he can hear you on the other side, bro. You're
But
not
I would've-
yelling to where he is.
I would have never classified that as a
Well,
feature of the tradesman.
In Serbia, the thing that's with talking with your cousins abroad, like, you know, so you have an aunt in Australia and then you're like raising your voice as if, because she's like further away. Like, you know, when old
It's
people,
gotta make it down the
when old
wires.
people talk to each other, it's like, hey, Jed, do you hear me? I hear you. Yes. How are you? And it's like, you're just talking on the phone.
Yeah.
It's the same like talking
Technology's
to,
come a long way.
you know, like you can relax.
There's no delay anymore, right? Unless I'm like off of Wi-Fi and I'm on data, and then maybe it's like a little bit laggy when I'm talking
Like
to
connected
someone.
to a Bluetooth usually sometimes gives a
You
delay.
get a
Yeah.
little bit of that going on, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward, pretty standard. No qualms, no dramas. I was gonna go somewhere, nowhere physically, but in the conversation. What was I ready for?
Was it mosquito related, Counter-Strike related?
There's no bats,
No bats,
no OJ.
no OJ,
We're talking about construction,
podcast.
Yanka's house not being there. podcast. That's the summary so far, guys. We're as good as AI.
Yeah. What's the timestamp on this bad boy?
We are 14 minutes in.
Nice. Okay.
Quality 14 minutes.
It's a good 14 minutes. It's the warm up 14
We'll
minutes.
be signing off. This will be the last thing. No, well, actually, no, this will be the last thing that Talk Encounter do officially from Rio.
From Rio, yeah.
And we won't be coming back next year.
Yeah. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Potentially.
No. Not potentially. I'm not saying where we're going. I'm just saying we're not coming here.
Yeah.
The people at home could try and work it out. if they want.
I actually thought you meant the podcast.
You don't sound like you're gonna miss it, Chad.
It's a long way to come. It's a long, like.
So is Australia.
You poor fucking
Yeah,
baby.
but that's my
So is
home.
China.
I like China.
That's fair.
I like it here.
Look, it's just lots of mosquitoes, man.
It's true.
I don't want the mosquitoes. You can keep them.
There's so much traffic. We had some good food though.
Oh yeah, we've had lots of steaks.
We've been fucking eating in Brazil. They know their meat.
Yeah, make sure you don't separate the fucking and the eating. It's just really eating. The fucking, I think, from Yanko really makes it understand how well we've been eating.
It's an
They know
an
the
adjective.
They know the fucking.
There's
Not a
no
verb.
fucking going on.
Adjective, not a verb.
Yeah, no fucking going on.
I think that's how it works.
It's been fuck free.
Fuck free.
As far as the three of us are concerned, we can't speak for the other talent.
Jane,
I
if you're
can't-
watching
maybe
this,
they
I'd
will
like
be
to
fucked.
apologize for Chad's behavior. What? If you made it this far,
Oh, dude. Does Jane actually listen?
she plays him.
Oh,
I
so
think
she doesn't listen to
she
the
listens
content.
usually probably to the intro and probably zoned out. She does it while she's cleaning or something. So it's
She
like-
probably enjoys the bits that aren't about Counter-Strike.
yeah. She occasionally messages me about something we said in the podcast.
Okay.
Anna just watches to check how many beers I had on the podcast.
Yeah, that's fair. Does she count my drinks? Because that'd be fucked up. I think Jane mostly listens because she feels like she's contributing. You know, she's like, I'm of you.
Oh,
You know,
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm of you.
Thanks, Jane.
I'm a statistic.
we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Our sponsors love it.
Yeah. Let me give a shout out to those sponsors. Yeah,
just one time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, fuck. I had another thing, but now I've lost the thing again.
Oh no, it's been a day for you.
Do we discuss my hemorrhoids?
How do we go about
Nah,
that,
this is
Chad?
comedy.
Yes.
No. I just.
Okay. That's a funny line.
They're not comfortable, everybody. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. It doesn't make things easy. It makes everything a challenge.
Would you
So-
like a feel good story?
Why did you say, would you like me? What could you possibly do about it?
I feel like
You
I
want to
have-
apply cream?
No, I feel like I have like a funny feel good story of a miserable experience that I can throw out there to help
With
them out.
hemorrhoids?
Not hemorrhoids, but it is a delicate medical situation.
Okay,
All right.
tell us.
It was leading into Dallas. It was the day before I left for Dallas. And I woke up with an incredible pain in my scrotum.
Like your
in my
nuts?
testicles. Yeah, like the
okay.
nuts.
You have a
Oh,
UTI.
No, it wasn't a UTI. I actually forget what it's called, which might hurt things. but-
Torsion?
No, I'll look it up. I'll have it at some point. But anyways, it was one of the. It just kept building and building and building, and like I could do nothing
pain.
to relieve it. Yep, the pain just kept hurting more and more and more until eventually, like I was in bed and on the couch until like noon, and then I was just like, Jane, you got to take me to the doctor. We call the doctor. I set up an appointment. It's an emergency. Like I need to be seen right now.
Why do you do it yourself?
Well, I mean, what do you want me to do myself?
No, fair enough. It's the benefit of that should be in the ad.
Oh, drive. Yeah. I mean, I might have been able to make it.
No, I meant the call.
Oh, the call? Yeah, I called. Well,
Did you call-
she was working, so I was in bed like with like the whole
Sorry, I
ice pack
misunderstood.
situation. Yeah, and I go to the doctor, and doctor checks me out, and it ended up being just some like not a UTI. I guess it is kind of a UTI now that I think about it.
Stands for urinary tract infection.
Yeah,
At home.
yeah. But I always associate those with like an STD, which I shouldn't because
No, you
that's not the way it works.
No, it's like you've been banging and you didn't take a piss afterwards.
yeah. Well, that's for women, not for men.
Can be the same thing, Jason.
Can it? I don't think so. Maybe.
I don't know.
I've never had that issue.
Well, you're talking about one right now.
Anyways, yeah, true, fair play. But yeah, it was just like this intense pain building, and I was like, I might not even be able to go to Dallas. Like this is intense as fuck. So I had to go to the doctor and get checked out and given antibiotics. And yeah, it was some kind of like just like weird spontaneous infection, but it was also like that I've never felt more crippled than I was like that day.
Okay. Yeah, look.
Like, it was
anything
just-
the private parts is never a fun
Yeah,
one.
man. Like, women are always like, you have no idea what it's like to be pregnant. You have no idea what it's like to be kicked in the nuts. Like
I'm not taking that fight.
I
I'm
also
not
say
taking that fight.
specific type of pain.
I want to just say for any women out there listening to this, I will not be comparing being kicked in the nuts with childbirth. That's exclusively a Yanko opinion.
That is, in fact, I would also just like to reiterate for those in the back, it is particularly specifically a Yanko.
I'm not saying
Thing.
one is. I'm not saying it's worse. I'm just saying it's something that you could never experience because same way we can never experience childbirth
Or a period.
or a period. Well, we do experience them too, don't we?
Just on the other side.
On a way,
To be fair, I'm glad I don't bleed once a month for a week.
Now we have Jason fucking googling UTIs.
Yeah, fair enough.
I feel like I should know what
I
it
had.
was that incapacitated me that day. I feel like it did a good job.
Did the
I want
doctor diagnose it?
check the engine and milled around in there for a little bit and was like, it's probably this.
And then he did the exam.
And then I was given, but that was also, if you remember, the time that I had that poison ivy all in my arm at Dallas.
What the fuck were you doing before?
So
that?
I had to go to the doctor,
Piss
and I was
in the
like,
bushes.
while I'm here,
What were you doing?
While I'm here with
What were you doing?
an
Jason?
issue in my fucking balls, like, can you help me out with this poison ivy that I've had for like 10 days?
And he sorted you out.
Also, I have this pain in the
Antibiotics
back of
and
my head
steroids.
too.
Yeah, right.
Sharp
There's a massive
pain.
lump. What could you help me out with this? I don't like going to the doctors.
Who does? No
I can't
one
remember
does.
the last time I went to the doctors.
That's not good.
Well, when I got the script for the suppository for my hemorrhoids, guys, we're going to talk about these things. It's
I
not
know. I'm
license.
sorry.
It's
Yeah,
not
we're
license.
grown man, Jason.
Like hair transplants.
Barely. Yep.
Yeah,
go
true.
on.
I wouldn't classify us as grown men. We are men.
We're getting along.
Yeah. I just did it online. Like I did like an online doctor that you would like video call with and you'd tell them
Sure.
symptoms and then you'd get a script. I imagine if it was something where I felt like I needed to be checked, but I was pretty confident in what was the issue.
That's how you can get fentanyl in the US. Just a call, right, Jason?
Probably not fentanyl.
I was
Fentanyl might be, but Adderall. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think like when the last
But-
time I went to the doctors was.
you should go. I go. Well, once every 2 years, do like the checkup, cardiologist,
Is that it? Once every 2
ultrasound.
years? I thought you were going to say like once every 6 months. Like the dentist.
Well, I mean, there's no reason when you don't have any symptoms, no, like any
Yeah.
problems, right? Like that's enough.
I'm once
to
a
go.
year.
Once a year.
Once a year checkup, and he's
Is
just
that
like,
for health insurance?
I don't know. It's just what I've always done.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of better to do it once a year, but I'm like kind of lazy and I feel fine, so I go once every 2 years, and every time they say it's fine. I even had a prostate exam. The guy's like,
Oh.
"Why are you here? You shouldn't come in before you're 40."
Yeah, you're a bit young.
That was really weird.
We just wanted a finger up your ass.
You were just going and asking for it, huh?
No, it wasn't that. It was the balls and everything.
Okay. Look, I want to. I'll be honest with the world, and I'm sure a lot of people probably have a similar feeling to this. I don't trust healthcare that's not in Australia.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
Like, I know that healthcare in other places is good,
Yeah.
but like healthcare is something that is kind
It's
of
familiar to me. You know
Exactly.
the system, you know the process.
Yes.
Yeah, you're comfortable with all of
So
it.
when I go back to Oz after the major, then I will probably go and do all the like I go to the dentist overseas. That's fine. But I can't remember the last time I went to the doctor.
Dude, think about the Dinko story. Like, can you
in
imagine
India. Oh my
when he got like deathly sick? Like, he actually probably could have died.
He could have died. He was vomiting blood.
Yeah, and he had to go to the fucking doctor in the
we
middle
were
of
so
India.
close.
Oh.
No, poor kid, man. Like,
Yeah,
I
poor
know.
kid. Oh God.
I couldn't even.
Oh
imagine
no, poor Dinko. Oh.
Dinko, Yanko represents. We've,
Once again.
yeah, it's just a Yanko
Yeah.
opinion.
Does there need to be a disclaimer at the start of every episode now?
Well, there will be a timestamp on this one when we do eventually start talking about Counter-Strike because
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the comments.
Yeah, we'll just give him one timestamp.
We don't even get to see half of them.
Yeah, because I fucking banned cunt.
I like it.
Get out.
Get out there. Get your ban hammer going. I'm a big fan. I come from the LP Kane school of banning, which is just ban everyone you don't want to talk to.
LP
a name
Kane,
I haven't
man.
heard
That's
in a
a
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
That's a name.
Yeah,
That's a
it's a
name.
fucking-
Whether or not it's a good name.
I like the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no issue with it.
Okay.
He did some good things for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as that's the case.
and he's no longer part of the scene in any way.
Oh, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
There's still a few of them kicking around. Yanko was in the gym today with Jason Lake.
Yeah, we saw him downstairs when we went down to get the drinks. Yeah, he's here. He's chilling. He's having a good time.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's
It's
okay.
all good. This is very casual. This whole start. Let me know if you need a hand. He's using my bed. Everybody, Yanko.
It's a twist off. What's he doing?
Well, he might have soft hands.
He's never had a blue collar job like us, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I did this terrible thing where I went to school and studied instead of fucking being a plumber or whatever the fuck you were, Jason.
was
A
what-
gigolo.
I was a die setter.
You were working with cars, weren't you?
Yeah, it was making auto parts, doing like the mold and die setting.
Oh yeah, wow. I am the idiot.
We're all in the same.
I am.
Yeah,
the,
but we all ended up at the same
I
place.
am the stupid one. That's what you think, Jason.
Shit, how much is Yanko getting paid? That's what we
I
gotta
don't
work
know. How
out.
many? That did sound
Yeah,
confident.
Jason Lake out there lifting, man. Guy just has crazy energy.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Is it the Adderall? No, Jason, I'm not saying that you're on Adderall.
No, it's always great to see him. Just a dude who's like
Good energy.
real passionate. Just
Got to have a lot of energy to stick around in North American
ran
Counter
into
Strike
him.
for
We were-
23 fucking years. God
yeah, and
bless.
also to have this complexity lineup. But yeah, that's another story.
Ooh. Ooh.
No, we won't go. I'm just kidding. But
Is this now
we
when
just ran into him
transition into
downstairs before
Counter-Strike?
we came here.
I think
to
so, yeah.
the-
Get the time
to the
stamp. Let's-
podcast, and then
Let's take the turn.
26 minutes.
26 minutes.
and he said Jason knows him for 20 years
True.
Yeah.
from the ballrooms of the Gaylord Hotel,
Is that
and
what
then
it's
after
called?
that the CS tournament.
It was the Hyatt originally, and then it moved to the Gaylord outside of Dallas.
Isn't that from like Meet the Folk?
Yeah.
Volker?
Yeah. His name was.
Yeah.
His last name was
His
Gaylord.
last name was Gaylord. But there is a Gaylord Hotel, and trust me, when I was 17 and they announced that it was going to be held in the Gaylord, I was like, "What the fuck?"
It's a different time.
Yeah,
back then
it
as
was a
well.
different time.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But look, now that we are transitioning a Counter-Strike conversation, you know what's kind of crazy? I've probably mentioned this a bunch. I think I've mentioned this to you guys before. Maybe I haven't spoken about this like podcast, but I definitely have. I say everything. But back when I was in the CGS, right? So we're going back to 2008, which was 16 years ago. For those of you playing at home, the head admins of the Championship Gaming Series were Torble.
Yeah.
who is,
The
CEO
co-CEO of ESL,
of
I think.
of EFG.
EFG.
And Laurent.
Laurent, yeah.
Laurent.
Yeah.
And those guys, like, well, he's still doing a similar thing now, but Craig is.
Yeah, but he's like done the same thing as Craig, where he's doing the same thing, but he has his own company.
He
that-
doesn't have. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Well,
at the top of the totem pole.
fair enough. Yeah. So, like, back then, they used to like plug in our peripherals, like and now.
Okay, big shot.
Yeah. Well, look at them and look at me. Something went wrong, didn't it, Yanko? They were doing the right shit, and I've ended up here.
You're doing all right,
I'm
Chad.
doing okay,
Professionally, at least.
but we've hit our cap. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we're capped out.
It's all downhill from here.
We're tapped out. We are tapped out.
Yeah, it's been cool watching all that evolve, because I know like at one point it was like, this was like back in 2015. I think it was like ESEA was using Laurent's company to like set up and run the ESEA final events that they were doing in the hotels in Dallas. And then I think eventually like they bought them out, and then ESL bought ESEA.
Yeah.
And then obviously added DreamHack and then Face It. So it's been weird watching that whole like corporate
Shift.
throughout the years.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a it's become obviously a juggernaut, right? Hasn't it? But look, let's zone in where we are. Jason, you
Bro,
cast.
wait,
Yeah.
we want to get into it's fresh, the games, and then the other topics, or the other.
What are the
topics?
other topics?
We have other topics.
The bleed situation.
Oh. Yeah, let's get into that later.
I don't know if it matters which order we go to anything.
That's fair too.
The most shocking part about the whole bleed thing is bleed actually paid for Nexa.
Thanks for
40
joining us for episode
40
109.
42,000 owed to G2 is like, what?
Well, I guess they didn't pay, did they?
Honestly, that's a pretty fucking
Hey,
legit
but that's
buyout,
a
though. That's a pretty legit buyout to get.
That's probably like, what, 14 of his salaries?
It's just like, I'm just.
Nexa, Jason, in my opinion, is that right?
Again, all Yanko. Just add Nexa in with the
Yes.
pregnant women and
Thank
Dinko.
the best of friends. The three of us are. Yes, very much.
Okay, so I heard murmurs about this a while ago anyway, about them not getting paid, but I didn't, I'm not an investigative
You
journalist.
didn't follow up on
it's
anything,
not, but also I'm not surprised when I hear things like that, which is sad. I think that's sad that I'm not surprised.
It is. It's
Not
also
for me.
It's also sad that it's happening. But the thing is, like, Bleed was a fine functioning org for like
It's owned by like a millionaire in
a
billionaire in
billionaire,
Singapore.
and it was fine for like 3 or 4 years. They were in Valorant for longer and some other games, I think. I mean, Legia, who some people might remember from the big days, and their coach for a little.
That's
bit.
a name.
Competing on stage.
That's a name I haven't heard about.
Yeah, he was their like Valorant coach for some, and he's been there for a while. And apparently, this shit only started happening like kind of this year or something. That
Because their VCT spot got removed and taken away.
yeah, which is obviously horrendous thing to happen to you because you only get like only one team like goes up. I don't know. I don't follow that shit.
But anyway, bad in Valorant. Not bad team, bad thing happening in Valorant. I am caveman.
Exactly, and it's just and you know what? When Kassad posted the tweet and everything, and there were a good number of teams or people that were up. Yeah, like, in tier 2, tier 3, quote tweeted it, and like in tier 2, tier 3, like still shit happens a lot.
Yeah.
Like if a tier 1 team or like a big org is doing this, can you imagine what happens? Like what orgs do to players and and the staff on lower tiers, and it is just fucking sucks to hear shit like that.
That's why for example, if we were to use what's the team that didn't have an org? Like Bad News Eagles, let's use them as the example. As a team to go to majors and qualify and then get the sticker money, that was better for them than ever joining guild, right? Because for them, like, to get that result and get that money as the direct injection, sure, you didn't have the security, but you were sleeping under the safety of the Valve blanket if you were good enough to qualify for the major.
Yeah.
Whereas like a lot of these tier 2 teams playing within the circuit,
It's also funny how as soon as they signed with guild, they failed to qualify for the major.
yes, unfortunate for Guild. Taking that type of a punt now doesn't work out. They got the job security, sure, but I think that for the there's always going to be a cutoff point where it will just be murky under this element because the return on investment is not going to be there for a lot of tier 2 organizations, tier 3 organizations, but they want to get their hands involved because they obviously want that sticker money. But if after a certain point of investment isn't there, it isn't surprising to me to see them not getting paid, which sucks a lot. And it also means that, how are we meant to prop up that part of the circuit if there are dodgy orgs here, there, and everywhere not paying their players? Like when I was part of Renegades, this was the initial iteration along like Monte Cristo, but that was when Chris Badawi was there.
Yeah.
Chris Badawi was no offense to Americans, but that has scarred me from doing business with Americans because the way that was, it was oversell, under deliver, right? And Australians, the way we want it is undersell, over deliver, right? Like,
which is the way it should be.
Yes. So we were getting paid late. We were getting paid through PayPal. Like, this was not above board. So for me, it isn't surprising to hear that there are scummy things because I was involved in one that I wouldn't consider to be above board whatsoever. And maybe that's why when I heard the news, it's like, oh, okay. But it is sad because not getting paid and having those extra stresses is ridiculous. I remember at the RMR, it wouldn't have been an RMR back then. It would have been
major qualifier.
Yeah. No, it would have been
like the regional qualifier.
What were they called? They were called
minors.
Minors, yeah. Yeah. I almost made a Diddy joke. I remember being at one of those, and I was in like a bar after the event, and I was like with Monte Cristo, and I was like pouring out all of these grievances in Korea, about what was going on and not getting paid because sure, we had Gomez, but realistically, like I was the leader of the team, the captain, I was the representative for the rest of the boys, and like it sucks to not be getting paid to be doing this, even though we were all very fortunate. That's probably why we didn't make more of a ruckus than we did. And so I look at the Bleed scenario and the fact that they kept their mouths shut for as long as they did, because it's the nuclear option, what Kassad did, but sometimes it's the only option. And unfortunately, the public pressure and public sway is going to get these orgs to notice. They replied.
Yeah.
And
And
it was a
also-
disingenuous reply, but they replied.
To have that level of a nuke from Kassad, he probably held that in for like 3 months.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I've been
he's
hearing
probably
about
fought
this
that
for
back a
while.
couple times.
Since
like,
Jacob had joined. I've heard about this.
He probably got to a point where it's just like, you know what? They fucking lied and sweet talked me enough to hold me off of this tweet for 5 times, and I'm done. I'm out.
But
Well, also
what do
you
do
don't
about
want it to be.
And you don't want to send the nukes ever.
what's your org?
Yeah, and he's sort of was the leader of the whole Counter-Strike division and project, right? So you don't want it to come to that where you're sort of admitting that it's kind of shady or they're not delivering and all these things, right? You wish that it could have been handled and settled and no one has to suffer in that sense. And I think also for people saying, oh yeah, but the contracts or this or that and lawyer up, and it's like obviously like they have contracts and there's like lawyers and stuff, but you know how hard it is to across different countries and all this shit to pursue something like that, like, oh, what, they're gonna sue bleed, like that's gonna get them paid. It's like the problem is like very hard for things to go through that way, and even if they do, it would take years.
Yeah.
For something like that
think
to
about the money that
transpire.
they would sink into something like that to try and get that
It'd
to
probably
work.
be all the money that they were asking for to begin with.
And then,
and then it's like,
if
what's the
nothing
point?
happens, it fizzles out and you lose it all. Like it's like we sign contracts with TOs to go and work their events, right? Like those agreements are just essentially so, hey, don't say racist things on air or anything.
To be honest, and that's only the last couple of years.
Yeah,
like,
well, no, Faceit used to do it back in the day. I only worked for Faceit a couple of times. I swear they used to do it. PGL do it.
I don't remember.
I could be wrong, but I swear Faceit. I only worked a couple of Faceit events. Maybe that's why I remember.
Faceit, I don't remember Faceit, but I know Blasted even at the start out of the gate.
Yeah, Blasted.
Blasted.
Yeah. I don't know what Bardolph had against
Say
me. I
that-
don't know why Faceit never hired me.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I don't know what he has against me either.
But you're part of the old boys club.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We solved it.
Dead now, of course.
But I don't know why Faceit never hired me back in the day. We could have been the best
I don't
of
either.
friends.
I don't either, man.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it sucks for Bleed. I don't really know where to go from that. Like the players, I hope that they get the money that they're owed. The risk with the nuclear option is you essentially are burning everything down. So by doing that,
Everything after this point is acrimonious. It's
like,
all
it's
a battle.
why, so now if they're just going to be like, well, you kind of like put us in the firing line, we're not going to pay you.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they, have to because of the damage to do it, and just so that the news will be out tomorrow that they've settled all their debts.
Well, it doesn't help when like Pets is out there saying that they didn't receive the buyout money or whatever.
Yep.
So that
Yeah,
pretty
there's
damning.
$500 for next.
And I think their someone from their Rainbow Six team as well just came out and said that they hadn't paid salary for like an entire 6 months with them as well. So it feels like it's been all across the entire
I think also
spectrum.
it's important to talk about it in the context of their results too, and some of the stuff that we've been seeing with Kassad saying, oh yeah, Hampus is not going anywhere, and then he goes to fucking Johnny Speeds to play with Swedes, right? Like now with the context of, yeah, they weren't getting fucking paid or anything, and
changes everything, doesn't it?
changes the whole perspective, right, and perception, and also,
which is also probably why Kassad wanted to fire the nukes, because he's like, I want people to stop thinking that teams are leaving, or players are leaving because I'm an issue.
And I don't want to, give them excuses for the fact that they didn't qualify for the major or the RMR or anything like that. But when you have uncertainty in the org about getting paid, then you're thinking maybe, well, shit, and you've had prize money that hasn't been paid out, so you're like, well, even if we make the major and get stickers, how do we know we get paid? It's like just a situation in which it is almost impossible to give 100%, right, with so much shit looming over your head. So yeah, I guess ultimately just hopefully Bleed does the right thing. And pays people what they owe them, even if the org is in turmoil and has to shut down, especially considering who the whatever owner is and everything. Come on, man, that's
for him it's nothing. That money's nothing.
So the dude, it's his uncle or whatever is the dude who owns the Valencia football club.
Fucking hell.
No, it's
yeah.
Fuck me, bro.
Yeah, at least square away your debts and then fuck off if you don't want to be in the space. That's fine. If you don't want to be in the space, that's all
just
good.
leave.
But at least square away your debts that you have right now and then get out of here. You know what kind of concerns me a little bit? This is slightly adjacent and one that I don't have enough information on. So talking Out of my ass a little bit. As
We love
usual.
that.
Per usual.
But
see-
not now because of the hemorrhoids.
That's true. No, they're almost better now.
All right.
I've been taking good care of them.
All right.
Nice warm bath really helps.
Yeah.
CCT not allowing certain players and teams to play their events. I know this is below the tier 1 remit of what we normally talk about, but seeing a little bit about that, and that you brought Hampus up, and that reminded me because Johnny Speeds I don't think they're allowed to play, but like their players have all played in CCT events in different rosters and orgs.
So why would they?
Wait, can I know I've heard nothing about this. Can I get the TLDR so that I can also talk out of my ass?
So out of touch with the common man.
I know.
So CCT has like bans on certain players. I don't know why.
Okay.
A lot of these players don't know why. So, for example, some of the para guys, they can't play in CCT tournaments. Because I was playing a pug a while ago. I was playing Facer, and DGL was in there, and I was chatting with him. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? Like, because the team, they didn't have a roster anymore or whatever, or they were playing under a different name, not under para or whatever. And I was like, what's going on? Because he seems like a nice guy. I met him in a Pro League season. We had a chat, just a dude with high sensitivity, likes to all.
Yep.
And I pugged with him and he seemed cool. Him and his mate, it was Masked? I forget. And we were playing and Devil was on our team and Devil was raging. Anyway, sidebar. Long story, we won the game.
Important things. But
And he's like, oh yeah, I don't know about this or that or next year with everything changing. I said to him, well, like surely you can't be banned next year because CCT can't ban you for no reason because it's going to be part of the Valve circuit. Like you're going to have to be able to play to get the points. Like, how would Valve allow it to be you to be banned? Like
they could just be unranked events.
the CCT events,
Yeah.
they won't be unranked events though.
All right.
They'll be the tier 2 online events.
Okay.
I think they will be. Why would
Okay.
they not?
Okay,
I'm
just-
assuming. I'm making some big assumptions here.
Yeah, let's find out.
Like,
we'll
but
see.
this is something I should investigate further because there's a bunch of players over different teams and different nationalities that aren't able to play.
But you're not an investigative journalist, so
No, I never will claim to be one. Just for the record.
But I mean, it's a good point too, because it's like if you're going to run a system like this, then Valve needs to be, have some level of control over saying
You can't just
of
ban
who
people
can. Yeah,
willy-nilly.
you
If
can't
they're
just.
Valve banned, yeah. If they're not,
Right.
they should be able to play.
I think isn't that
Or
like,
you need to be able to show us pretty fucking good reason of why you've banned them.
Yeah, exactly.
isn't it like players who were suspected of match fixing or
Yeah, but who in
shit like
Johnny
that?
Speeds is suspected of match fixing?
I don't know. I don't really follow.
Match fixing?
Hampus,
No, not
Troll.
follow that like that
I don't
closely.
follow him. Mate, Josh is around. You never know. Maybe you get learning a thing or two.
Yeah, maybe he's back in the saddle.
He's unbanned next year, everybody.
He is unbanned
Exactly.
next year.
So he's cooking.
2025 is the year of steel.
How many Chinese batters are messaging him right now?
For what?
Come back into tier 1,
What,
bro.
to sandbag on the
You
broadcast?
still have it.
Maybe there's a betting
You still
market
have
in
it,
China that's
Josh.
like, all right, Josh, now that you're on the desk, if you say this, right, I want you to say
We'll
this after
salary.
the first
We'll
map.
no, like for when he comes back playing, like they'll front him the money to salary the team and everything.
Mate, there's an open slot on the roster
Just-
right now. You reckon
just,
Josh isn't gonna take it?
fall down in the 5th.
That's the rope a dope.
Yeah, but I don't know. Might be something like that for CCT,
I don't know.
where they just don't want to have fucking match fixing in their tournaments, and they feel like these people are suspicious. And yeah, I guess it's kind of shitty if they don't have proof for it or anything to ban them for playing and limit them the opportunities. But it's a
Not
little bit
banned
of a
from
wild
ESL
west,
events, but banned
maybe.
from CCT. You know?
Yeah, but I think again, like without not
Who's
without,
behind CCT?
without knowing
idea.
any details, then
Wagon
that
pay.
is something Valve have to have a fucking hand on or have some
Exactly.
way to influence.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
like-
that's kind of
Oh
why.
yeah, that's fucking high on their list.
no, it's obviously not. I don't think it is.
All right,
but
I got a statement.
yeah,
All right, investigative
express.
journalist, Bad Churchill.
what kind of a statement are we talking?
Now, this one is because you were just talking about Valve.
Yeah.
Now, I was speaking with somebody,
All right.
and they told me that they are under the impression that with all of this stuff that's going on with like the rules and the regulations and everything, the Valve aren't going to police said rules and regulations. They are hoping.
To be the community,
That we
like
police
the
ourselves.
investigative journalist policing.
Well, no, just the general community. We police ourselves.
ESIC will do it.
I love this
No,
tactic.
not ESIC.
I love this strategy. It's the inmates in charge of the asylum. It's a classic, and there's been some interesting things that have come out of it in the past.
So can you imagine like the best?
And we're having more and more inmates these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of inmates.
Yeah, the asylum is growing. We're sharing cells now,
For fuck's sake.
but that's what I heard.
Okay.
Jason, do you want to police Valve?
I don't want to police Valve.
Oh yeah, police.
I can
all
police for Valve, but I'm more of the kind of police where it's like, did this happen right in front of me in this moment?
Well, you'd have been great in some of these recent.
You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, did you commit the crime within my vision where I'm physically present in the room? No, there's really not much.
You're a terrible policeman.
Yeah, I'm an
You're
awful
actually
policeman.
fucking horrible. You're not policing shit. You're like that dude in the meme in the video security at the stadium, right? Like doing the check and like not even touching anyone, just like letting people come
My
through.
brother in Christ, you now have a child. Pretty soon you're gonna be the same kind of police officer that I am. It better be. I better see it right here.
Yeah, you
don't
only
have
have
the-
to worry
I don't
about
have-
things in your universe.
I don't have
What
to. I don't have the capacity to go hunting down information about CCT. I don't have the energy. I don't have the time in my day.
Also, you're not an investigative journalist either.
No, or a policeman.
Now, I will say, I've already offered my services to become Valve's policeman, but I didn't want to be just one of many policemen. I wanted
You would be.
the
The
You wanted to
policeman.
be Judge Dredd.
You wanted the power. Yeah, you really did.
I am the law.
I wanted to be able to fuck. So the unfortunate thing is, I do. The unfortunate thing is, with that in mind, now we all have to do the right thing.
You always had to, Chad. What the fuck are you talking
I'm
about?
not talking about us. I'm talking about everybody playing
This
at home.
collective we. Yeah, collective we.
Which is what?
Counter-Strike.
What are we alluding to?
So
like
when-
do the right thing.
Well, once again, I'm just gonna say the honor system among a group of millions of people across the world has never
Anonymous, of course.
has
online.
never gone
Yeah.
wrong.
Bunch of faceless. Wow, I wonder what tampering could happen with that. Let's
Yeah,
look at
it's
American
crazy to
elections
think
in the
about.
past, shall we?
Ah,
Keep
That's-
politics out of video games.
that's yeah.
Yeah, you like that one?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's good delivery.
All right. Well, now that we've talked about things we have no idea about,
Yeah.
should we talk about more things we don't really know much about?
I was really nervous when we said we were going to do a podcast tonight. I was like, I might be strolling in here with my voice blown out.
Oh yeah, because he's doing the Furia Mouse game. He thought it was going to be
Yeah.
a banger.
I was just like, I might not be able to actually speak. I
My
might be.
hemorrhoids are more blown out than your voice.
Yeah, they really are. That was a fucking hemorrhoid.
You've been
safe
talking
game
out of your ass this
Counter-Strike.
whole evening.
Oh dear, that was. I think we'd consider that by the official terminology a game of Counter-Strike.
Yeah,
One of them.
it was a game.
So 6 rounds over 2 maps for Furia in a semi-final on home turf. I think we call that shitting the bed.
Dude, it's got to be so devastating. I can only actually imagine how shitty it is to feel that like Furia does tonight.
No art, no win.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying for years.
Bring him back.
Bring back art.
Bring him back.
Yeah.
This cello guy's not doing much. Get art in there.
It's kind of sad that that's the way it went down, especially considering we know how this crowd.
They were ready for it, dude.
Well, yeah, I went out there to enjoy it,
Yeah.
right? And I just went and jumped on the couches near the desk for the start of the game, and then the score was like 7-1, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go now. And then as I was thinking of like leaving and going back to the green room, one of the security guys comes up and he's like, speaking Portuguese, obviously, and I've already been up there for 8 rounds, and he's talking to me about my badge. And he's so I get my phone out and do the Google Translate thing, so I can. He's like, no access, and I'm like, well, if I can't get here, that means Yanko, Josh, that means Trace.
Yeah,
they
the
can't.
desk guys can't ever be.
So then Kinga was with me, and Kinga was like, showed her badge and showed that she can guide, and she was like, well, he's with me, so like, fuck off, like, what are you doing? And then he kept kicking up a fuss, and she was like, you just go sit over there. So I just want to sit over there. And then she was like, I'm gonna get the boss of security to come here. So the boss of security came.
Oh no.
And she just big dicked the fuck out of him. That was cool. And then, but I had to wait around. I was going to leave it.
Yeah,
I
but
was like, well, I'm out of here.
At
But,
that point,
So
when
let
you were
the
waiting
13-3
around,
5 minutes later.
yeah.
at that point waiting around though, you had to have had a good time.
Well, I
You're
don't
like,
feel smug about it. I wish I could.
No, you don't
communicate
feel
with him.
smug, but there is something cool about being like, we just got the head of security come out here.
Well, yeah, but the thing with it was, I think the reason
Holy
he
shit,
thought I
Jason,
was,
you are a terrible person.
Oh yeah, I'm a horrible.
Yeah, just
person.
fuck the little guy.
I
guess.
have a really good persona.
That guy was
built
just
up
doing his
on
job. Chad
broadcast.
looked like a fucking bum.
exactly. I wasn't wearing a
trust
suit or
me.
a jacket.
No. We all agree. We love.
Event
We
security.
do
We
love
event security.
when event security does their job. Like even when it inconveniences
I
us,
prefer to
it's
be
like,
more strict and more lax.
Yeah, I'm frustrated and it's annoying in the moment, and then I walk away and I'm like, but at least that motherfucker's doing his
But
thing.
I'd been sitting on it for 8
Celebrity.
rounds, so I don't know why he came up 8 rounds into it to say something. Like, and I was just like, I always try and be, especially in a place where they don't speak the same language.
Yeah,
I always try to be as nice as possible, because the last thing I want to happen is, first of all, get put in a fucking headlock, but second of all is have to cause a scene, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to do it. So I was just like, very nice about it. I tried to Google Translate it and everything, and it all ended up being fine at the end of the day. But I honestly think it's because you and Josh and Trace all have a jacket on and everything like that, and I'm just up there in t-shirt and trousers, right?
Yeah.
So I look a little bit out of place, but we have the same badge. So it just was mind-boggling to me that like they have at every sign like the badge.
This badge is good to get past.
So it was just a wild experience, probably more exciting than the game.
I bet Jane messaged me and she was like, "How was the game? Was the crowd good?" And I was like,
You just
"Yeah."
reply with "fuck off."
No. I responded to Apple.
Fuck off, honey.
you can tell he's feeling lonely. He doesn't understand how it works. Yeah, I did. I just responded to her and I was just like, everything was fucking awesome right up until the game started.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the game started and then it was all flat.
I don't feel bad for you.
No, I actually didn't.
I feel bad for Dinka
Yeah.
because he's such a young. Green
Yeah,
kid.
and like it's one of those. I know, like chatting with him.
Guys about to shit on Dinka.
He was just like, I've never casted like a game that's gonna have like a crowd kind of like this. And even in my head, I was like, across 10 years, I actually haven't either. Like that, because I think back to the Fiora games from the Rio Major.
I was
and
building
like,
those.
I know,
Harry
but we
and
were
Hugo
out in the
did.
arena
Yeah.
there. Like that environment was mental.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like it.
It was more people because it was a 360 stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that crowd could have popped off easily if Fury was putting in a fight, which was the real bummer. But yeah, Dinko for Dinko, I think he wanted a good game, and it was.
But
just
you
like,
always want a good game. I think this is
Yeah.
one of the things when you do arena games, like you need to assume the game's going to be shit. Because if you assume that it's going to be a good game,
Yeah.
if you ever come in, you're likely to get something that's rubbish. Because that's the thing. You never know what the match. The one thing you can't control is the match. You can't control how it's going to be. You can only just react to it.
Which is also why we've always had that kind of philosophy that it's like, don't fucking fight for a specific game. We
No.
learned that lesson
Whatever
super
the
early.
schedule
In like
says, you
Cluj-Napoca in 2015. And like we've obviously violated a couple rules here and there. Everyone kind of gets, a little antsy at times, but it's like you never like the game that looks shit on paper can easily be an absolute fucking banger. And the game that looks like a banger can be absolute shit.
We've been saying that for years, like at the time, like 16, 17, Anderson Semler, every finals turned out to be the shittiest games for the most time.
Yeah.
Like the best game would happen in the semis or in the quarters, whether it's like how the bracket worked out. So the final happened before the final or just, turned out that the better game, like the more exciting game happened prior to the final two. I mean, look at Columbus is a great example.
Yep.
Navi, the Liquid
Even-
games with LG, right? And then you have the Navi LG game was shit. Like the final
Even
was
Cologne
shit.
16 was the same way as well.
Same thing. It was the final was shit, but the Liquid Fnatic game was fire.
Was fire.
And VP LG sort of.
And I think that's the thing that actually, like, that kind of a concept is the thing that I think has tilted the most talent over the years. Is that I remember that was like really a turning point for Anders and Semler, where they stopped being the favorite pair of commentators because they were still so popular with TOs and their reputation was so popular. They were getting every single final, but all the finals were shit. And the semifinals, as you're saying, were fucking amazing. And in the semifinals, you'd have Matt and Henry casting, and you'd have you'd have James and Dan casting, and they'd be able to deliver these fucking amazing moments because those moments were in those games.
Yeah.
But the general comments of the time were always like, oh wow, Anders and Semler have really lost their stuff. They're not able to deliver anything exciting in the final. And it's like the final was 16-5, 16-9. What do you want me to like? There's only so much I can fucking do.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that was like a really turning point for them. And obviously they kind of got outstripped as the years went on and everything, clearly, in terms of the kind of product they deliver. But at that time, I remember that being a huge mental block for them.
Also, it's all about like a game can be good in many different ways, like, or a matchup can be good. Like, let's say two teams come to a head that have been gearing up for a long time, right? Like that makes it exciting, but then how the game itself will go. Then you can have like two bad teams play each other, like let's say the quarterfinal or whatever, and it's not the best CS, but the game is exciting. There's like highlight moments,
Clutches,
right? Like
retakes,
it's exciting for the viewers, right? And then you might get a game where it's like really good CS, but it's sort of the rounds are over quick, like there's two entries and the team saves, and it's like it's not an exciting game. It's like two good teams playing and you're like seeing good CS, but you don't get those like clutches, multi-kills, crazy moments like for casters to, hype it up and to deliver some of the whatever sound bites and all this shit. So it just depends like the way you look at what's a good game for different people. It's different things.
And it's also unique with like if just to narrow it in with what we're doing here. It's the same thing as we do in Chengdu, for example. We're not out to the arena, which is actually I kind of like it because I cast it more like not with the intensity of a group stage game, but more like I'm doing it remote, right? Like in the sense that the crowd and I are not like if they're reacting, great, right, to what's happening, and you can ride that. But otherwise, you're kind of just you're not entertaining the crowd because the crowd isn't speaking your language. They're not hearing you. So you're more, especially from a color standpoint. At least I find it means that I can. I can.
You can do more actual color.
Yes, right. Because I'm not worried about being too verbose and the arena not getting what I'm saying because maybe the audio is not great or I'm talking for too long. I can actually just do what I would do for the audience at home traditionally.
With more intensity and more energy.
Yeah. And even then, like today, I got a good game with the Heroic versus Na'Vi game. I think, look, there was JL delivers fucking insane moments every single time.
Yeah. Dude, it's actually mental, his ability to just pull out a play when it's needed.
His impact is crazy.
It's nuts.
He's got to be one of the most impactful players in Counter-Strike.
So wait. Well, sidebar.
Yeah.
Yanko and I talked about this a couple episodes, the one that we didn't do with you, where we kind of talked about like the best player of the year, and obviously like it's like Monacy, Donksai, we were all in that conversation. But do you think there's a conversation for how much impact JL has and how deep they go and like his performances at big events when
He's
they're
in
getting
the top
that?
10.
Like yeah, he definitely is. But do you think you could sit there and say, you know what, if I don't go off purely stats, if I go off like who I actually think provided the most to their team this year, like JL would have to be in that conversation.
I think the thing is, if let's say Na'Vi win tomorrow and he continues to have good stats, because right now I think it's JL and Jimmy in the running stats-wise
for MVP.
For left in the tournament, then it's like Bit, I think is next, and probably Torji somewhere in that conversation. If Na'Vi win tomorrow and JL has a big performance, I think the thing for JL in a couple of these finals, he's gone missing with that exact impact we're talking about a little bit, which is essentially the most important game, right? But if he can show up here and then he has another decent performance in Blast World Finals and then they go to the major, I think anything is truly possible for JL's placement if he continues to have this type of impact. I say top 10 safely, but realistically probably closer to top 5.
I think it's really, I know, for example, Duncan has a lot of frustrations with the way how top 20 is counted, decided, and everything.
HLTV?
And people need to remember, this is the HLTV's.
Yes, you can have your own.
Top 20 players of the year. Yeah. Like, this is not unanimous Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Top 20 players of the year. Like, the three of us could make our own
top 20 list.
Top 20.
But we won't.
We don't like lists.
We might do.
We don't like lists on this podcast.
No, sponsors want us to.
Yeah, we'll check with the sponsors. We'll check with the sponsors, and we'll get back to it. But I will say though, some of the stuff is from a lot of it is like stats. Obviously, I don't know exactly how they all weigh it and how they decide on it and all this stuff. But obviously, stats play a huge role. And then it's, Donk obviously an insane kid, prodigy. Insane start of the year and everything, but who cares about your stats in groups?
Yeah,
right. Like I'm not saying that he can't do it against like better opposition or on the stage in the playoffs, but
he hasn't.
So that's just how it is. You have someone like JL, for example, who plays against Vitality all the time, G2 all the time, FaZe all the time, Liquid, like Mouse, all the best teams in the world, and against those teams, he's delivering the impact, delivering the stats that sure are not as high as Donks, but are winning them games against like the top
games,
the top tier,
series, trophies,
the top tier oppositions at the time. I mean, it's like match defining rounds, you know, like the 1v2 clutch, when if they lost that, they would have been broke. They would have had to eco, and then the other team gets all the, and so on and so on. So I think depending on how the end of the year, let's say Spirit flops at everything that's left, like, they
only have 2 events,
whatever, wins one best of 3 at World Finals and that's it.
Yeah.
And at the major makes it out of the RMR, and
let's say quarterfinals,
something like that, or maybe not make the playoffs of the major.
Okay.
Let's say that, right?
Possible.
And then on the other side, you have Na'Vi, who makes a deep run at both, let's say, and JL is instrumental in that, and maybe they win out of the two. I'm not even gonna say they win the major, but let's say they win World Finals, and he's like up there. Maybe he's the MVP of that.
Dude, if they're if they're in the finals of fucking the World Final, that's insane, isn't it?
Yeah. Can you not make an argument that he is above Donk for this year?
I would.
I would too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think so.
I kind of am already there to a certain extent, to be honest with you.
Considering what Donk's been showing recently, yeah, I think that's fair. Like, and quantifying the impact that he has within these games, that's the key. That is the key.
But then it's like, do you think Donk is a better player than JL?
Well, then it depends on what you're looking for as your qualities of a player. I think that Donk, for his skill set, is probably more mechanically sound than JL.
Yeah.
But I think JL is delivering in the games that will get trophies, which matters more. So then I would say I think JL is a better player than Donk. Because
JL
Counter-Strike's
definitely
a team game.
JL definitely a more versatile player.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like, for sure.
But that's also got to count for something, right?
Yeah. But do you think JL is a better player than Nico is?
I was going to bring Nico into this conversation because I think his form out of the break, or even a little bit before that, right, was on an upswing.
Pretty awesome.
Him bombing out as probably ended as the lowest rated player of this event.
Yeah. He is.
Is he really the lowest rated of the entire?
0.53.
Yeah.
Oh
1
shit.
and 2 low. He's fucked his chances a lot there.
No, I'm not talking about. The reason I mentioned him and I mentioned it in that regard is because you see, when you go away from the stats, it becomes really tricky how you measure it.
Sure.
Right? Like, so, okay, it's not just about the stats, it's about the achievements and results, and if you've had deep runs, right? But what is that dependent on, and so on and so forth, right? So I think for the sake of our conversation here that we're having, and because we all agreed on that, like, if it goes that way until the end of the year, we would all put JL.
Donk would have to have a massive upswing to change that dialogue anyway, right? Like, it would have to be crazy upswing.
It would be like, what then? JL, then Donk. I mean, in terms of riflers, JL, then Donk.
Oh, for world right now, for rankings.
Yeah. Not like without the
offers.
Like, without the offers.
Well, okay.
I mean, we don't have to go into this too deep. It was just
the thing
like,
is, I would like to look at a lot of stuff when I have this. Off the top of the dome.
All right.
Hard.
I have a different. I have a
more.
more shallow question that I feel like I could ask.
Of course you do, Lil.
Yeah, I'm all about surface level.
Asshole.
All about what I can see.
Just in front of him, commit crimes behind his back. You get away.
Yeah, you're fine.
In front of him.
It's well played, actually. It's congratulations.
Yeah.
What was my question?
I don't know.
You said you had something more shallow.
Oh yeah, I did.
Players.
Okay, so I guess part of the conversation, I guess the counter argument to sort of what we're talking about, which gets a lot more into eye tests and like nebulous degrees of how much importance you put on, plays in specific, more detailed work. Donk being so good in his role, which is considered one of the hardest roles, seems to be something that people who are like, Donk's the best player of this year, is like, he is so good in this one facet of the game that's very difficult and that no one else compares to those stats. I guess that's like probably the biggest argument for Donk right now, is that as an entry fragger, he's putting up crazy performances. And the argument, I guess, would morph into eventually, how is Donk supposed to keep up that kind of performance when his team is performing so well, when he has teammates who are playing like crap and Spirit themselves aren't making it deep. Like, I guess the argument would be like, Donk has to carry and JL's the piece of a very solid team.
That is the thing, Jason. If you're a hyper carry caliber player, and I know that you're only presenting this in an argument, so this isn't directed at you, just so
devil's advocate,
because people at home love thinking that me and Yanko love to ream you out all the time.
You do.
But
not in front of the camera.
From love. I think that like that we're not comparing like how good you are as an individual in a vacuum. We're not playing fucking aim map, right? Like it's Donk is a part of a team that was successful at the start of the year and the bookend, right? They won Cato and they won the spring finals. But other than that, they won a bet them as well.
Yeah, which in the grand scheme of things.
Some people like it, some people don't.
Yeah.
Mouse fans love it. I don't know. Like I'm not looking at Donk and going, he's held back by his team. Do I think his team could be better? Yeah, but I think that like if you're a star player in that type of an environment, then you get compared to hyper carries. You get compared to a Zywoo. You get compared to a Simple. And I know that he's not an AWPer, right? But unfortunately, the crown's a fucking heavy one to hold, isn't it? So if you're going to start your debut of 2024 playing big boy CS by showing everybody how big your dick is, unfortunately, you either back it up or then you're just another rifler.
You fade away.
He's not just another rifler, but
I think the problem is deeper than this. But first, the thing with Donk is the reason why he would be number one in someone's book is no one can do what he does.
And that's fair.
Some of the things he does, no other player can replicate that.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Right? And then you can argue like how valuable is that? How wide is that? You know, is that enough to put him above other players and blah, 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 blah. The different thing is where I feel the three of us align is we really value impact.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like same thing like how Nico didn't necessarily have the best stats all the time at Blastfall finals, but it felt like all of his skills were super impactful at key moments. It was funny then because people brought up like he played 3 maps here, and then the last 2 maps of the grand final were also in the red.
Yeah.
But if you watch the game,
it didn't feel that way.
It didn't feel like he was having a bad game, right? So that's like why stats can be deceiving. And that's the problem we have right now, because for us three cannot really make that, because people will always say, yeah, and then you will have to go to the games and find the rounds and sort of show it, which would require a lot of work. My point being with all of this is we still don't have good enough stats. We still don't have like good filters for stats that we can go, okay, give me a round give me the reset round. I want stats for this year in reset gun rounds, right? Yep. I want stats this year from the like second half, when the gap between the team is like 2 rounds or less. You know, when it's like, so meaning I get stats for 10-10, 11-9, you know, like tight games, intense games, you know, and then I get a different sort of picture. I eliminate obviously all the anti-eco round. I don't give a fuck about any of that, like, you know, and all that stuff. And then you would get a different picture, right, for some of these teams, because if you go and put in whatever the top 20 filter on HLTV, which again, for some of the newer viewers, that's not this player against top 20 opposition. That's stats for when his team and the opponent are both in the top 20, right? It's a different when you go on the player, then there's like the blocks of against this opposition, that opposition, and so on. It looks a lot different whether you put that top 20 filter on or the top 5.
Yes.
Like you would be surprised which players go where, which again, you know,
it
top
kind of
5
makes sense though when you're versing harder opponents.
Yeah, top 5 usually is, you know, playoffs, deep into the tournaments, finals. That's where the best teams in the world face off against each other. So all these things like mean a lot. And I'm not saying obviously HLTV top 20 accounts for these things as well. It just sometimes, for example, I think the mistake was in 2020 Player of the Year when Zywoo won it over Simple. And I think Simple was punished a little bit because it was COVID, obviously. So we had CIS,
that's right,
and EU.
But they were playing in EU RMRs
in different like RMRs. So he was like, but actually
weaker teams, in theory, weaker teams.
See, the CIS was the tougher region.
Yes,
in a way.
It aged that way.
And they used it was like used as an argument against him, when in reality, you know, like you had Gambit, you had outside VP there.
It could have even been an argument for him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's where, in the end, like, he got robbed for that one. Because it felt like he was the better player, but I was being pushed a little bit by, oh yeah, but he's in the EU ones and whatever.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Look, I think for me, something that, and I said this like on HLTV, confirmed probably a month ago, maybe a little bit more now. Something that I've been leaning away from is looking at the stats so much. Because like, and to be fair, I was never somebody who's looking at the stats a huge amount anyway, especially individual stats. I like using the team stats, seeing who has good trades.
Yep,
right?
I
Seeing
do
who has
too.
good like flash assists.
Opening kills is big with me.
Overall, I'm looking for what I see within the server. And obviously, I can't watch every game of Counter when we have A and B streams, so I have to go back and I have to watch. I don't really watch VODs. What I like to do is I use the Skybox Edge.
Yeah,
I like watching Skybox Edge. So that for me is because I see the patterns, right? The kills are important, but for me, it's about like the approach to the round and the counter.
Well, you have that in-game leader brain.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Yeah.
macro most of the time,
Yep.
right? Whereas the micro is the bit that gets me going, right? But the macro is the bit that gets my dick hard, right? Like I love the round that Magic did where he rotates back from mid, he goes over towards A, he smokes window from towards A, so they see the trajectory coming from A, and then they sell it. Like those things, it's like you never know if that's going to work, but as an in-game leader, you appreciate those details, right?
Well, I'm hoping they're thinking they're going to react on this in the same level in which I'm thinking of the idea, right?
But so all of this stuff, right, but essentially is boiling down to what you said with impact of players. And that's what I look for in games. And in big games, when I'm doing arena games, seeing the players that are making that impact, like JL had a good map 1, a bad map 2, or an average map 2. He started bad. And then a great map 3, right? And it's like,
was it yesterday or today that Jay had the 1v2 on Ancient where he comes in yesterday when he comes in for short, stays with the
had 2 1v2 yesterday.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful fucking clutch.
Also, one stat that will blow your mind, since you were talking about openings. Do you know who was, after the groups, the lowest opening attempts in the tournament? Opening kill attempts.
In the tournament?
Yes.
So that would imply that it'd be a hard opener, right? If he's asking this question.
I want to just, because of the way that he said this question out, I just want to say something like Emma.
No.
Okay.
But you won't guess it. It's Dexter.
That is weird for an opera.
That's great. No, not just because an opera, but because you feel like
his
an aggressive player,
yeah.
right? He had, it was like 9%.
Yeah. See speed wobbles with his shots today, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't hit as many as he used to.
Not
a bit rough for them. That round that they broke down on the desk as well is just fucking. You could see it fall apart for them, right? When he's like up, he's holding long, they start pressuring short, so he falls back to car.
Yeah.
They're saying, okay, he lost the timing, other guy is on slope.
Yeah.
But you see, he panics there. He just choked. Like, you just hold short the whole time. Like, this guy
Forget
has
about
to,
the long guy.
You know,
exactly.
when he thought he could time the guy, and then as he left short to pick the guy long was when they killed him. And that's just like,
trying to do
here's
too
the
much.
thing.
Trying to do too
this
much.
is the most impressive thing.
That's always been Dexter, though.
Yeah.
He's never been a guy who could sit and hold an angle.
Well, there you go.
This is the most impressive thing about Navi and all these comebacks that they've been making. They made a shit ton of them in the last 3 months. When they make a comeback, and you know, especially on the T side, it's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna momentum call here and have this freeze time call here.
It's always pieced together.
You know, and just be a little bit lucky with some of those reads that we have. It's just most of the time it's default and tearing the opponent apart sort of limb by limb and just playing the way you usually play. And that just shows you the belief that the players have in the calling, in the system, in all of that, and how much confidence they have into executing their own roles and doing the calls. And sure, sometimes it's a little bit like you know, in the round today where Kicksam pulls out an 8 and that's where they swing. But every good team, you know, you need to earn that. You need to deserve that, right? Like that comes from all the other stuff that you do. It's not the reason why some of this stuff's happen. And just so impressive. I thought they were dead today.
Yeah, me too.
Not at 7-0, but just like even at like the half and how the second half was going, like Heroic was not choking it until the very end, you know, like, but when the game got close, they were not choking it. They were like playing. You could argue that they maybe were just too aggressive. Like their approach was, you know, they just wanted to be in Navi's face all the time.
I didn't mind the lower dark pushes. It gave them some info and it helped them secure a couple of key rounds late. But I think like they were to your point, they were making the right decisions. When they were meant to save, they saved.
Because they had a ton of gun round.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot. They had a lot of money
Lost
in the
bonus in their
bank
favor.
and everything. And you think, yeah, they're playing better. You know, things are coming together for them, everything. And then just, you know, Navi's like, nope.
I think it was
back.
14-13 was the first point in the entire series that they had the lead.
And also, you know,
the entire series.
Another testament is Wonderful had a stinker on Ancient, nowhere to be seen, and then he was the best player on.
It's great with openings with the ore,
on Dust
made
too,
the kills
right?
he needed to make. Yeah, I think, but that's the thing, and that's the conversation we've had about Na'Vi in recent times. Is a Bit can have a good map, JL can have a good map, Imma can have a good map, Wonderful can have a good map. They all can have a good map.
They've gotten to that point where they're deep on the roster.
Well, it's depending on the map, right? JL seems to be the guy on Ancient.
Ema Mirage.
You know, Ema on Mirage, Bit on Inferno, right? Like Wonderful maybe
it's
on Dust
nice
too.
to have that,
yeah, you know, and
What map does Alexi get?
It doesn't need a map. His
Nuke, he plays outside.
his stats are at the top of the scoreboard, Jason.
Ah, there he is.
Yeah.
He's bailing his boy out.
I mean, he's had a
That's
couple
good.
of stinkers lately, which is like, luckily, it didn't cost them games, and
But he doesn't.
teammates bail him out. Like, having 1 kill per half. Like,
It's not good, but he doesn't drop in the comms, right? Or the energy. If he drops in the fragging and the comms and the energy,
That's an issue.
And I was crazy today. Like, I think just unfortunate for Heroic with the map pool. I mean, Ancient, Dust 2, Mirage are Navi's 3 best maps.
Yeah.
That's like,
Well, don't
if
say
you're Navi,
unfortunate
you're like,
because you're the one
we
planning the
cannot-
map veto.
What?
Like they're the ones planning the map veto. Don't say unfortunate.
Well, unfortunate in a sense of like,
what else could they have picked?
what else could they have picked
Okay.
other
That's
than
fair.
Dust 2, right?
Anubis?
Navi's Anubis is pretty fucking good.
What does Heroic ban?
Inferno?
Inferno?
Yeah.
Yeah, Inferno is Navi's like worst map at the moment. Does not mean they're bad on it, but
Okay.
out of all the maps, it's the worst map.
Well,
So you have
only
that
the-
going for them.
I retract my statement. Very unfortunate for Heroic today.
But I like the fact because Heroic didn't like when they feel good on Dust 2, and they were like, okay, it's a good map for them, but in this playoffs, we want to, we don't want to fucking try to punish them and play something we don't like, and be like, we picked something we're not comfortable on. We're going for our own map, and if they beat us, fair enough. And that's what happened. Just in overtime, you can't really. That it's a matter of some details at that point in time, so you can't be too mad about that.
They should have won. They should have 2-0'd.
I think the most impressive thing, well, not the most impressive, but a very impressive thing to me for this Navi run has been like, I feel like whenever I've casted their games, all of the like little check-ins we do to the in-game stuff, Navi's like fighting, arguing. Like, dude, we had one check-in
that we heard.
where Alexi was just like, guys, shut the fuck up. I'm the one who told him to do that. Like,
Yeah,
don't
that
get
was
mad
the
at him
name
for
of-
yeah. And like there's been like 3 of those where you can tell like the atmosphere. Even JL's interview where he's like, yeah, maybe we're just fucking sick of each other. It's been a long time on the road, long time on the grind. And it's like the fact that you're still coming back in games, just winning matches as well.
Well, that's why having a system helps.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
not helps. That's why.
That's
they
what
have-
the system is for.
They
It
have
is.
the deepest and strongest system in
Yeah.
all of Counter-Strike right now. It's not even a conversation.
And this is why Blade is probably the best coach of all time.
Okay. No, look, you're
Because-
gonna have
because-
a hard, you're gonna have a hard time with that. Until
Yeah,
he
yeah, I
has
know.
as many-
Until
as
he has a
many
couple.
majors as Zonic.
I don't think he needs as many. I think if he gets a third,
Is it
he's
because
got
done
2
it with
now.
different rosters.
I think he's done it with different
Okay,
rosters.
so
Is
if
the
he
big
gets a
thing.
third,
For me, at
right,
least,
okay.
yeah.
No, that is fair enough. I'll
Yeah.
take that argument.
I think they're both gonna be around for a while.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Well, Zonic.
Let's see what Zonic does
For the-
when he
yeah,
doesn't
for the
have
time being.
fucking Dupree and
Whoa.
Hasn't Dupree been one of
Trust
their better players?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
unfortunate.
if he well, he's got Simple on loan, and he's gonna get Nico next year. So
And
let's-
then there's
Allegedly.
no excuse.
no, there isn't. That's
No.
true. Like if you are one,
and then it's gonna be like, wait, so was it you at all, or was it
Joel
just
Glaive in the team.
this team was
Yeah.
just like really good, which kind of exposed the Astralis as an org, really.
Yeah.
Could see that they didn't know what the fuck they were doing
Well-
once Zonic left and these players sort of like went as well.
That is like a fun argument to see progressing. Is like, was it more Glaive? Was it more Zonic?
Well, look at Glaive now.
I know, but it's not like Zonic's fucking killing it.
They got rid of all the polls from Ents.
Yeah, but also in Vitality is like when they started playing better was when Apex started doing more things the way he wants them and called the way he
Yep.
wants,
As opposed to the Danish.
Yep. I
which
remember
is
that
not
conversation.
necessarily like saying that the Sonic / Danish way is bad. It's just like sometimes you can't like if this guy is just not feeling it himself, you can't.
Called out. Yeah, no,
Drill it in.
100%.
I also think like the style that Astralis had in 2018. I'm not ever going to say that team would like if they got transported to now they would get their fucking ass kicked. But it feels like that style of having like really hardcore like set protocols and reactions and like the kind of rotations they pulled. I feel like in today's Counter-Strike, players are looking at ways of specifically trying to exploit the disruption.
They're the reason
yeah.
why we
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the reason why we have this today.
Yeah.
Like the game constantly evolves and they revolutionize the way
Utility and map
Yeah.
control and
they revolutionized the macro of the
Yeah.
game. People didn't even know macro existed
Yeah.
until Astralis showed up.
yes.
Right. And that's, obviously then you figure out the ways to beat that. And then it's layers on layers on layers on layers. And now we have that. Any team now in top 5 has better macro than Astralis had.
100%.
Right. Like,
Better utility usage, better flash.
but it's only due to them introducing the concept to begin with, right? Obviously, people over time are getting better and improving and finding every
I think
little edge.
I mean this is a quibble, but I think the concept was there. I think Astralis just made it so much more detailed. Like I think teams Teams tried to build it. It's just like the
So
layers
people
of
were
it.
discussing things, but not to the
Not to the extent.
No, and
No.
not using utility so systematically.
Bro, you even see today, Chad, like player is like, oh yeah, he got a kill and now he's falling back and he throws a flash running back for no reason. He's just falling back. He's gonna, the flash is not gonna do anything. No one's peeking with the flash. No one's chasing him, or even if they do, the flash isn't gonna do anything. It's just a wasted piece of util, right? Like, and you just don't see that like with Navi almost
ever.
Yeah. Right? And the utility usage is like nailed down to a T. It's like, what are we trying to achieve? We want to clear this. Okay, we need a fake flash and a real flash right behind, or we need an HE and a flash right behind. Like, it's all, it has to achieve this purpose. It's used to clear, to move this guy so that then Wonderful can post up with the op, and if a dude wants to re-peek while he's not blind, or take that angle again, he's dead, right? And if he's not, okay, then one guy can creep up and take some extra map control, and all that shit happens, right? Like, and teams across the board are better than that in general. For example, no one, you rarely see teams do it. Actually, still even see teams do it with smokes, where they re-smoke. Let's say you smoke first time as a part of your opening protocol, anti-rush or whatever, and then if the other team is playing kind of slow, and then you re-smoke again with like 120 left on the clock. Like, you're not doing anything here. Like, and no one is making any play. Your teammates are not making an info play on the other side of the map. You're just blocking for...
But that's old Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
But I think the thing with Na'Vi in this event has been, especially against VP yesterday, and I saw it again today, is the sheer will to take fights. Like, against VP yesterday, they were like, these motherfuckers, if they want to take an inch, we're going to slap them in the face. Nothing about taking a mile, right? Like, every time they went to take control, the guys from Na'Vi would just swing. They'd be like, okay, we won the first duel, and you have a second player here, and you're going to think I respect you. I don't respect you. You guys are shit. They just swing and fight and duel and do it all the time.
Yeah.
And today you saw more of it too, but Heroic were more heads up. Heroic played more heads up Counter-Strike than VP, obviously. And Heroic kind of bopped him a bit, and that cost him a little bit on Ancient for sure. And like some of the calling, you can still see the Kixen of old from Apex, like some of these pace changes and his all-ins. I even prefaced a couple before they happened of like, this is likely what Kixen's going to do. But,
yeah, the A rush.
But also, it works so nicely for Kixen with Saw, because Snappy did the same.
I can't believe people still are not ready for Navi's quick retakes on Ancient, man. They never not push through the CT smoke, like, and just keep sending bodies, because in reality that's probably the best way to retake that bomb site. Like, if you're gonna do the same with like Beyond does too, if you don't do a fast retake, it makes it much harder.
And it's a pretty safe swing from like the CT smoke to the back of the bomb site boxes as well, especially if it's like not a perfect smoke, or it's it's improved or something like that. Like, you get a lot of space to work with when you swing into that position.
Yeah. But what did we have at the start of the playoffs? We had VP, who was there just by beating, like...
I don't want to talk about VP.
Teams not in the top 10. I just don't know if they're dead or not. I don't know if that's a team that's making a roster change after the major and they already know it, or they just don't know it yet for sure. But yeah, not really care about them.
But okay, this might be the only interesting topic of VP is who would they change? Like, it would be Jame, right? No, it would be Jame, right?
It's impossible to like talk about it, because we don't know the inner dynamics.
I know, I have no information. So
that's why it's hard
but if you're the GM, if you're the one,
I can't make that call now, because like, I don't know. Is Electronic the problem? Because it's been problems like the last couple of spots
since he joined the team.
It's actually like James the problem, because he's not giving space and he has good ideas. Is the problem that some of the other guys like just fell off, or is toxic for whatever reason, or wants out? Like, that's the issue. On paper, it should all be fine, right? But it's not. Did they just use this time to figure shit out, and like those dynamics, and how do we want to play and all of that?
Also, let's be real, it'll probably be Norbert. It'll probably just be fucking Norbert. The poor guy. The poor bastard.
But yeah, I think the Vitality one is way more interesting on the other side of the bracket.
Before you get to Vitality, can I ask a question? And it is going to require you guys to use your brain, so I'm sorry about that. If you had to build your Russian dream team right now, who would it be? And I know Russian's a bit of a dirty word these days, but if you were going to use it...
In the context of Counter-Strike players, it's fun. It's great.
What's your Russian dream team?
m0NESY?
Donk.
Donk.
Can't stop there.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to think. This is the first time I've actually thought about this question.
Flit or Fame?
Honestly, Dong, Fleet Fame, Electronic.
What, electronic calls?
Yeah.
You've cheaped out here a bit, mate. You haven't put a lot of thought into this. Nobody else from Spirit?
Monacy Donk.
Zontic's obviously not.
No, I would think about Magix.
Because he's Ukrainian, not because...
Yeah.
You think about Magix?
Yeah.
He's great in interviews.
I like it. Honestly, he's not playing well at the moment, but I like his game overall from when I've seen him over the years, from when I watched him over the years. I think he's a really valuable piece.
I'm not even joking. That's my team. Because I think we'll see.
The hard part is the IGL at the moment.
He's making Electronic do it.
That's why I'm making Electronic do it, because the next era is the era of good players IGLs. Twists, Nico, let's say Electronic, right? Let's say if Shui can be a consistent player and whatever. Even Alexi is better on paper, better than your average.
Just.
At least in theory, right? Like he is,
Yeah.
Apex isn't playing terribly, right? Like for that position, but you kind of, it's a different conversation between, Apex and Nico, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think something like that, and then you just the firepower, and that just fucking it. Fuck
All right,
it.
you want to take a big dump over Vitality? Go for it.
It's not taking a dump. Well, you didn't say your teams.
I didn't think of it. I just had the question.
He's the presenter of this segment, so he just gets asked the question.
Get used to the term presenter.
The more interesting one would be the Brazilian team.
Queserado, Skulls,
Fallen,
Insani. Shut up, Jason.
Who's your upper? If you say
What
Henny,
happened to Zevi?
if you say Henny over Fallen, I'm gonna be
What happened to Zevi?
I don't know what happened to Zevi.
He's in Fluxo with art. That's what happened to Zevi.
Okay.
All lockers die.
Taco.
Skulls, Queserado. Who did I say? Insani.
Yeah.
Probably NQZ, I guess, if I had to pick a Brazilian opera.
I mean, Biggie Zera's IGL, right?
And Biggie Zero.
Yeah.
Big Uzera, Queserato, NQZ, because there's no one better, but hopefully a better opera comes along and then we can put him in there.
Mm.
Insani.
And you have to have Queserado.
Yeah, I said Queserato.
Oh, you didn't.
Queserato, Big Uzera. I didn't say Skulls because I'll put Lato in there over Skulls.
You have such a fucking hard on for that team.
Not for that team, just for Lato.
It's because
Dead. I don't have.
It's because Dead was telling everyone at fucking.
Not that there's
Copenhagen-
anything wrong with
Actually,
that, but
never mind, he wasn't there.
Sorry, Jason, what was that?
Anyways.
What'd you say, Jason?
No, don't worry about it, Chad.
Wow, that's one that we're gonna have to listen to on the re-record. Re-record?
He's almost put his foot in his mouth, but he's found his way out.
What did you say?
Oh, you didn't hear me either.
No.
Okay, good. Don't worry about it. I said it's because Dead in Copenhagen was telling everyone that Lotto was like this fucking god tier next gift to Brazilian Counter-Strike. And then I remembered that Janko wasn't in Copenhagen, so I was hoping to avoid this situation where I put him in a position.
it's fine. I don't, it's in the past, Jason. I do not care for it.
And I'm gonna commend you because never at any point over the last 6 months have you seemed bitter or upset about any of that. So it's been great.
Wow.
Is he being facetious?
I hope so. Because if he's not, he's asking for it.
He's done it on this show. What do you want from me?
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
You've had
It's
an old
okay,
fashioned.
Jason. Yeah, it's fine. Got
Where
two
are
of
we?
them.
Where are we going? You want to talk about Vitality?
I mean, just
They
then
lost to Mouse. Not a
listen to
bad loss.
It wasn't.
still a loss.
Disappointing. Very.
And their next tournament is with a stand-in, and then
Yeah,
it's the
but-
RMR.
But I think that might actually be good for them. Don't know how.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just
That's so mental. I know. I
It
know.
might be good for him. I don't know.
But I don't know why. It
That's
just
out
could
there.
be. It's Jax. He's fucking sweet.
We like Jack.
We like having Jax around, so it's gonna be good for him.
I won't be there, but Sentosa's cool. You guys ever been to Singapore?
I
haven't.
wish though.
Yeah.
Singapore's great.
I've heard
None
it's
of us
nice.
are going.
None of us are going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
But hey,
Nice.
excited for Jax. He's gonna have a good time. I
Have
think.
fun,
Yeah.
Jackie boy.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know. not too much faith in Vitality, yeah?
I can't recall a whole lot of details of that game, which is kind of sad because I casted it 48 hours ago.
24 hours ago.
4 hours?
24, yeah, you're
Not
right.
48.
Yeah, I was close, man. But I will say, I remember leaving that series disappointed.
Well, they didn't put up the best of fights, did they?
It's just the way they lose games sometimes. Where I'm just like, there were a couple positions like, here's a detail that I do remember.
Here we go.
The last round that actually got them eliminated, that like 3-on-3 retake on the B bomb site. And it was like after a bunch of chaos of getting into
This
the
is
bomb
on
site.
Inferno.
On Inferno, yeah.
Yeah.
B bomb site on Inferno.
Okay. There.
It was Vitality T side getting into the B bomb site. And they get the necessary kills. It's a little bit sketchy. There's some trades. Zywoo pops out and drops a smoke over at Coffins. Another Vitality player smokes the CT spawn choke point. And there's like a 3 or 4 second gap before anything happens after those smokes plume, where I'm just like, this is great. They just put fresh smokes down. It should be actually like impossible for them to lose. But Zywoo like stays out in the open instead of tucking himself into emo and dark. And they break the smoke and Jimmy gets a kill on Zywoo and then transfers it over and kills like a second player. And I'm just sat there and I'm like, you guys had all the opportunities in the world. You deployed the defensive smokes and the choke points perfectly. Why aren't you guys just chilling? Like, why is everyone trying to do something? And it's like, I feel like they get into those late round situations and everyone feels like they have to do a little bit extra. They don't play, they play the round like semi-smart, where they're in the right positions to play smart, but they don't actually commit to the smart play. And they just kind of get caught. And I feel like watching that the other day, I was just like, this kind of should have been like impossible for Mouse to retake this in a 3-on-3.
Fair enough.
I was kind of shocked that Mouse was even going for it to begin with, because you don't see equal retakes on the B bomb side all that often.
Look, I'm happy to critique Vitality. I just would like to say that the fact that Mouse have turned their biggest weakness into a map that's good for them is kind of crazy, though.
Yeah.
Inferno. Like,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to play it tomorrow.
Do you have any thoughts on like the whole conversation around Mouse and the interviews of changing their playbook, changing their style, changing their philosophy? Like, have you noticed anything during this event where you're kind of like, yeah, that's different?
They're winning on stage.
Yeah. But like strategically in the game, you don't notice anything? I feel like I might have to like deep dive some VODs after, or like some replays, but
I think
'cause, like, one of the-
the hurdle was more about winning on stage than it was about their approach to the game. They were very confident as individuals before.
yeah, but that's the interview they gave. Is like, we changed our playbook.
I mean, they're saying maybe they're talking about some like mid-round situations and just refreshing the
Not
playbook
X's
with
and
different
O's, more
opening moves
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. Like, you can tell that they're just playing a lot more aggressive on CT side. Like, not necessarily always at the very start of the round, but when shit happens, like,
Yeah.
they're very proactive. Mid-round, when trades happen, they're always going to be pushing for info, that sort of a thing. But so maybe they felt like they would turtle up a little bit too much when the game gets close, or when they're on the
Sure.
stage, and are trying to be a bit more conscientious about that T side.
The
I'm
only
not
reason
too sure.
The only reason I bring it up is because I know in that interview that I read of Shu, I was super intrigued, because like one thing he said was like, Exertion having like changed his play style to fit this kind of new philosophy, and they didn't want to rely on him like solely for entries. And I remember looking at that and looking up the stats, and Exertion's actually taking like more entry attempts than he has in like the last 3 months. And it's like, I was just kind of
Oh,
curious.
stats are dog shit.
Yeah. Again, I know, like, and the difference is not negligible, but small enough to where it can just be explained by circumstances inside the map, right? And I don't want to, but like, that was just my curiosity, was
Because
like,
it's usually like
I've been
has
trying to
do it.
identify
Like, he is Yard on Nuke, he's Banana on Inferno, like all this stuff, and maybe it's just calling a little bit in a way where it doesn't have to be that all the time.
Yeah.
Or throwing more resources to help him, so it's not just like reliant on him with little resource, and then when he dies, the jig is up.
yeah.
Look, I want to talk a bit bigger picture about Mouse as opposed to the granular, because I think that they were playing good Counter-Strike earlier in the year, but in this second half, they've been on a bit of a downward spiral. Maybe not spiral, but slide. I think spiral is maybe a little bit too aggressive, but they've been on a downward slide. I think this is the perfect time.
What about a
for them,
spiral
right?
slide?
They beat FaZe. That's a huge win, right?
Yeah.
That was obviously during the group stage. But now wins on the stage, one against Vitality, a team that's better than them within the rankings and plays good CS, and the other against Furia, so in front of a hostile crowd. That's a perfect way, not to pop your cherry because they've already obviously done that, but for them to get stage wins to make themselves feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
I think those are huge. Going into tomorrow's best of 5, I think Mals actually have a pretty decent record in best of 5s. That you think about, they won the Bet Miller in the year,
the Pro League
back-to-back
finals.
Pro League finals, right? So for them, once they're in finals, it's pretty good. Chengdu, when they played against FaZe, was only a best of 3. It's only been changed for this one, right? Dallas was best of 3 as well, I'm pretty sure. So from a bigger picture, looking at Maus, this is a good time for them to find that form again, because going into this next stretch, I don't know. They won an EPL season, so they might be at Blast and Sentosa in Singapore. I keep saying
Yeah, they might
Sentosa.
be.
No one fucking. I'll have to.
Yeah, that's an Aussie slang, I'm assuming.
No, that's just the name of the place, Sentosa.
Oh.
That's the the part of Singapore that they'll be in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So like, let's say that they do have Blast. We could check very quickly.
Yeah, just do it.
But this is a great time, even if they don't beat Navi tomorrow, for them to be finding form and finding confidence. Because look, you guys were just talking about exertion. He's one of my favorite map control players to watch.
Yeah, he's fun.
Because and also talking to him about Counter-Strike, he has a very good understanding of the game. That's like, and the way that he looks at the game, I like to hear it. But Torji, Yanko tweeted about today, their best stage player. Like, I like Torji's confidence in those moments, but for me, it's like Jimmy, and obviously, yeah, Maus are there.
Okay.
Navi, G2, Vitality, Spirit, Maus, FaZe, Liquid, Astralis. So
Cool.
there's only one team that shouldn't be there. I'll let you guys at home guess. And I like watching Jimmy a lot. Like, I think that some of his rounds, like, mechanically are brilliant, but then some of his decision making for someone who's so young is so good. Like,
Yeah.
he's
an awesome player to watch.
I really like watching Jimmy play.
And it's been that way, I feel like, with Jimmy since day one.
And he's a nice dude too.
Yeah, he is.
Alex and I saw him in the lift the other day, and we're like, whoa, Jimmy, that ramp round where it was pistol round and you 180, 180, 180. There was like, oh yeah, but Brokey should have traded me. And we're like, yeah, but
True.
Well, yeah, it is true, but like, still, the shots were fucking hectic. Like, sure, he should have been traded, but the fact that he's even able to do that is crazy in itself. And he's like laughing, and Jimmy's like, he's a cool dude. Like, and it reminds me
he is.
again,
He's
like, and he
legit.
feels like a human. I know
Yeah.
that seems like it's not meant to take away from other players, because a lot of them feel like they're humans, but Jimmy just feels like a guy. He
Yeah.
just feels like a guy.
Just another one of the
Jimmy's
dudes.
just a guy
Yeah.
driving trucks with Sergey in Finland.
You think, I was going to say, you think having Sergey as an older brother helped him out? You think he learned like some tricks about how to like look at the game and read the game?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think he just watched his brother play Counter-Strike.
I bet it did.
I bet they haven't taught
But
him.
like, my older brother taught me Counter-Strike back in the day. So
Yeah, but
I feel like,
you're from a strong nuclear family.
are they not?
I don't know.
True.
How many families are strong and nuclear?
I don't know. I'd say at least 50%.
Damn, I think you're overshooting right there.
You think so?
Yeah.
No, I bet it's at least 50. 50?
I don't know. I fucking dozed off.
Cool.
You know, my mind went somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I think Jimmy, the cool thing about him is as well in interviews, he's saying like he's embracing more like the stage and the big moments, and is playing with more confidence, is like finding some of that, how they say it, like the healthy cockiness, you know, like that you sort of need to be a great player and maybe deliver in some of these moments. So yeah, it's a lot of fun today. I mean, they completely dismantled them. I think it's going to be a really good final.
I think so too.
It
So-
should be
honest,
an absolute
I
banger.
said on the desk, I feel like these are the two teams that over the course of the year, right, with their, okay, they had ups and downs, but they played the most consistent like team Counter-Strike, right? Like fundamentally
Sure.
sound.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think it's these two teams. Like the third one that you would probably put there after or around them would be Vitality.
Yeah.
But I think even they are a little bit specific in how they approach certain situations, because, you know, I don't think they trust their players too much to just play default.
They didn't
Yeah.
earlier. I think they were on the road too, and now maybe they won't
Yeah.
again. I don't know.
So, you know, now it had that slump at the start of Navi at the start of the year didn't get off too hot, and then after the major, and Maus, it was at the start of the second half of the season, really. But
Yeah, after the major.
now it feels like they're finding their form. So I think we're in for a good final. You know, no Vertigo, no Anubis.
Yeah.
So the perfect map pool for a best of 5.
Yeah. I don't really have too many more thoughts.
I don't either.
We've been going for an hour and 38 minutes and 26 minutes in.
Made it
Started
longer
talking
than we
Counter
thought.
Strike.
Yeah.
26. I made
Yeah.
a note of that as well.
Just some thoughts maybe on the final. to finish it off?
Well, you just touched on it a little bit. I think it will be a good game. I guess the conversation will restart again about the fatigue of Na'Vi. I think once you're in a grand final, you probably wash a bit of that away. But it was the same conversation I was having today during the cast. If Mouse can make very frustrating rounds or scenarios for Na'Vi, that's when they're likely to continue to crack, right? Because they are cracking, but they haven't broken. They've been able to pull themselves back together where necessary. So I think that's the key for Na'Vi. A best of 5 final again is another Alexi B troublesome scenario to find himself in. But if you look at Na'Vi's 6 consecutive grand finals now, it's like loss, win, loss, win, loss. So this one should be a win. Is that right?
No, they won
Yeah,
their
yeah,
last
you're
best
right.
of 5 final at Pro League.
No, they didn't.
No, they lost to
played
G2.
and they lost at 4 finals. And G2 broke the curse against Alexi. They went EPL, and then a week later they were in the final against G2.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So if it goes that way, then they win here, then they lose in Singapore, and then they win the major.
Well, sounds like we know what Na'Vi has to do tomorrow.
Win.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll have Mao.
I had to second
have
check
Mao's
that in my
hands.
brain.
I'm taking Mao's for tomorrow. Yeah, I think they get it done.
Do you think Inferno 5th?
No, I think earlier.
You think Navi pick it?
I think Mao's pick it.
I think Mouse pick it.
I think Mao's pick it as like maybe the second one or I don't know what they could.
What would they pick first? I don't think Navi pick Ancient. Both teams like Mirage.
I think Dust might be 5th.
Really?
Yeah, unless Navi picks it in the second phase, then the Ancient is 5th.
You're right about the map being good for both teams. So I'm like, oh yeah, Mirage is a good map for Navi. It's also a good map for Mouse. Oh, Ancient. They both they're pretty good at Ancient. They both like Ancient. Actually, could be a banger final.
Could be
Yeah.
awesome.
Jason, you could be casting for 7
And-
hours tomorrow.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I think also you look at
It's gonna be great.
I mean, for Navi, it would be tough if they lose because they lose Cologne to Vitality. They barely beat Eternal Fire at Pro League. They lose Blast to G2.
3-1.
Right, and the first tournament they won EWC. I mean, this season they beat Mouse in the semis after losing 13-1 on Dust 2, the first map.
That's right.
Their own map pick. So
And they beat G2 in the final of team in a honeymoon period. Well, just literally their first event.
yeah,
I love with Na'Vi the amount of fucking swagger Alexi has in interviews these days.
Well, yeah, but he's carrying himself as an in-game leader who should have that, right?
Yeah.
And the thing
It's just awesome to see because he's never had this opportunity before to be like this.
well, it was
guy.
on fucking OG.
I know. I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying this is the first time we've been able to see Alexi be able to come out like a fucking big IGL dick and just be like, yep, we're the fucking best team. And yeah, we're going to go down and then we're going to fucking come back. And it's not a big deal. And once we win this pistol round, full of confidence and we know it's there. Like, I just like seeing that out of Alexi.
But if they win tomorrow, I know that you just said you're going for Mouse. If they win tomorrow, considering the circumstances, and people might say, oh, yeah, but they're meant to play a lot. It's like, it's playing a lot of matches at Counter-Strike and you're traveling around the world. Like we're all over the place all the time.
Yeah.
So I do empathize with the fatigue. But if they can win tomorrow against another different opponent in the final, I think the only opponent that they played multiple times in finals in this spree was G2. So EWC and 4 finals. Otherwise, it's been Vitality in Cologne, Spirit at Spring Finals,
Eternal Fire at Pro League.
yeah, so the overlap is a bit few and far between. But look, I think that as long as we get these teams being explosive, which they can be, it should be a great game.
Yeah.
But not as good as the show match.
A show match is going to be fucking fire.
It's gonna be off the fucking charts.
Oh my God, it's going to be so fucking good.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we done?
Good night.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too.
Peace.